right, you guys, welcome on into AfterBuzz TV. It is your World of Dance after show. We are so excited you guys are here tonight. This is a really good song to enter into. So I'm Kristyn Burtt. Welcome on back for all of you who are joining us for the second, third, fourth, or fifth time, or for your veterans here. But of course, let me introduce the rest of my panel who are dancing it out over here to my left.
Fools.
Hey, Shannon.
Hey,
how are
what's
ya?
up? I'm Shannon O'Connor, and I cannot wait to talk about this episode. So good.
And we decided to add a little bit of male perspective this week.
Russell Ray in the studio, back after a 5-month hiatus, but we are talking duels, and I'm so excited about this.
Yes,
so thank you for having me.
he is not Teague. He is filling in for Teague tonight. So thank you. We certainly appreciate that, and we appreciate your insight, of course. Teague will be back next week sitting in my seat because I'm going to be out. So I know. What are you going to do? There's so much happening right now in Los Angeles at this time. But we really have to kind of dive deep into the duels. But I just want to talk really quickly, overall thoughts on something that happened. And it happened a lot last season, and it happened tonight. And we've seen it in a couple other episodes. The montage. When they like gloss over what happened.
Don't like that.
Yes. And I just want to let everyone know, too, by the way, go to World of Dance's YouTube page because they are called digital exclusives, and you'll see everyone's dance, and those dancers do, you should appreciate them and, give them their kudos because they just kind of got glossed over tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Russ, you don't like it?
No.
They've done it with The Voice, too, and I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather see shorter, more concise routines and able to get through everyone to give everyone the opportunity that they should have.
Right.
Because these are great dancers.
Exactly. A little something, especially like Quad Squad. Quad Squad?
Yeah.
Quad Squad. Like, I definitely wanted to see them again because I loved them. And so it made me really sad to not see that. And then also just the other junior crews, like, they deserve some more airtime.
And the Pulse. The Pulse is, let me tell you about their outfits. Those were everything.
Yeah.
I like the little cha-cha-cha and the little French swaying. That's my kind of thing.
And they're representing Utah. And, it's one of the studios that Derek was at. It's one of those things that I think, when you're taking time out of your life and your schedule and you're rehearsing for months for this, I feel like they owe it to you to show your routine. That's what I do think. And a way to do this is to either like squish qualifiers into 2 hours, and then we can move on to the duels, and everyone will have their time. Or maybe less contestants. Maybe we don't need this many. Honestly,
True.
It's true.
A bigger cut.
Yeah.
By the way, there are more dancers we didn't even see. They taped the show, but they got cut completely from the show. So even think about that. I mean, this is a big talent pool that they're working with. It's why they don't do these shows live. So expensive.
Yeah, for real.
All right, let's get on into the duels because we kicked off the night with, just cuteness all around. We started off with Victoria Caban versus Danielle and Michelle. So Victoria Caban, of course, was flamenco. Danielle and Michelle doing some ballroom, and I had them on To The Point. We saw the clip last week.
Cute.
They're so cute. They're the cutest things ever. Let's start with Victoria. What were our overall thoughts with Victoria?
Yeah, so with Victoria, her initial audition, I wasn't #1 fan of it. I expressed that, but now, oh my gosh, that performance, she totally won me over. She had so much resistance in her movement that was so, just pulled me in, and she had the mix of the hard with the soft and the sass, which was so good, and that's just... she's so professional. She looks like a professional dancer.
She's so mature.
No, she's amazing. So I loved it.
She gave me so much fire and passion.
Yes.
And I was here for it. And her fan pop, and she just threw the head back. It was so seamless. This is how any dancer should walk out on stage when they're doing this, or into a club at that matter. Because when you go to a club, you're going to show out. So she very much did that for me. I love that she chose such a vibrant color, so that she even stood out even more from
Wearing
what her
pants
dance was.
instead of just a traditional flamenco skirt or
Yes.
dress, I thought was kind of a nice choice too.
Yes.
Make it a little contemporary. Her footwork was very good. And what I loved about Victoria was the fact that you see the maturity, you see that she's a little bit more developed as a dancer compared to Danielle and Michelle, who are fantastic, but you're going to see that growth with them over the next few years.
Yeah.
They're cuties.
They're adorable. And that's the thing is, it was cute, and I think they're great for 10 years old, but just compared to Victoria, that was just hard to go up against. But they were very smooth. They also had seamless transitions, and their lifts were great, and they also dance like little adults.
Their side-by-side work was actually very good.
Yeah.
They were in sync. One thing that I thought was interesting, Michelle is also a trained rhythmic gymnast, which is kind of interesting, and it's why her extension is a little bit better than a normal or an average ballroom dancer. Oftentimes, they're just usually at about 90 degrees. She can...
Right, and her back.
She's accomplished more than adults in their 20s.
I know.
I need to get it together.
Yeah, just a reminder to everyone, Daniel will be a part of Dancing with the Stars Juniors this fall. I went and saw him dance last week. He's in the troupe. Just a reminder that there's the main troupe and there's some supplemental troupe. He's part of the supplemental troupe, but he looked great out there. And I thought they were actually better than the qualifiers in the duels.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
A little
totally
cleaner
agree.
and things like that.
Little man's hip movements and his body rolls in today's performance, they have me excited. This guy had me excited. I was really here
I
for
think
that.
we're going to hear a lot from them in the future. I'm super excited. So, of course, this is the junior division. Victoria's scores were 94, 96, 92 for an average of 94. And then Danielle and Michelle, a bit higher scores than the first round, so good for them. 86, 87, 88 for an average of 87. I hope they are very proud of themselves.
Oh, heck yeah. They should be.
Yeah.
Really, really proud.
And they were so sweet. They were just like, we did really well. Like they
So
weren't crying. Like they
composed.
were just,
would've
exactly.
been a mess.
Right? I'm bawling.
They
I'm bawling
compete almost
watching it.
every weekend, though. So I think that they're used to, winning and losing.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, again, they won Blackpool Latin category for under 12. They won it this year.
That's
so
amazing.
It's amazing. They want to go back because they've got one more year in that category because Daniel's now 11 and Michelle is 10, so they've got one more year left.
Okay,
to
nice.
Try and win. I know.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I love that. But one thing we do have to mention here at AfterBuzz, we've got a lot of shows going on. Russ, you're going to tell us all about it?
So AfterBuzzers, our networks produce after shows for nearly all your favorite TV shows, okay? From dramas, reality, sci-fi, and more, there's no network that works harder to serve television fans, okay? But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailored, made for you, and will help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, which we all are,
Always.
don't be, because those are optional. So hit the subscribe button now for this channel and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channel as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of talk.
Yes, we always appreciate that.
I love AfterBuzz fans. They're so interactive
They're
with us.
so interactive and
best.
always like running through the comments after the show and like thanking everyone and
Yeah, it's
do a little
fun.
chit chat. They always continue the discussion on it. It's appreciated.
Heck yeah.
But we need to talk about S rank versus
my gosh.
the most. S rank. This is a hard thing. They were on the very first week of qualifiers, and now they're on the very last week of duels. So it's kind of like a funny little bookend for all of this. I hope people remember who they are. If you haven't, go and look at their qualifiers routine because the intricacies of what they do are so impressive to me.
It's insane. They're so innovative. And they, even before they even started the dance, before the music came on, they were like, da, da, da. Like getting into their
ticks are good.
first. Oh my gosh, their ticks are insane. And
Yeah.
the thing is, individually, they're all stars. Like if you were to watch anybody in the dance, you were like, they could stand on their own and just be insane.
You know who they reminded me of?
Who?
Super Crew from ABDC.
Hey, yeah.
Because they were very much in sync like that.
The Breakers, right?
Yes.
Super Crew? Yeah.
And their choreography was on point. Not a person's toe was out of line. And this is very much what S Rank is about.
Super
Yes.
Crew was on last season, so
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Melvin's the one who runs. He's the leader of the crew. I'm going to be doing some interviews with him. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Yes, he's
Jealous.
really amazing.
Awesome.
But this is an upper team division, but there's a couple people who are under 18 in that crew, which is really impressive. Josh Price, who I keep telling everyone, keep your eyes on him because he is kind of a really rising star in the hip hop world. So definitely take a look at that. But versus the most, what did we think? This one just seemed really fun, but I didn't feel like it was as competitive with S Rank.
Yeah, totally agree.
You know what has me loving the most is that their diversity. And they're all different shapes and sizes. So it represents a majority of America. And they're all nailing their moves.
Yeah.
I mean, there's There was one or two steps that were out of line, which you never really want to notice those things. If you're gonna mess up big, because then you can come back hard. But they represent the majority of society, so it's really good to see them. But it's really sad that they did go home.
Yeah, and the fact that they're friends. You know, the two crews, like they're like that's a weird dynamic.
But
I think they handled
it's a
it well.
real world like duel because they battle each other all the time. Out
It's
there.
true, and they had really vibrant energy. Like they made me. I felt like I was one of their friends or something. They shine, but also they seemed a little sloppier than S rank.
Yeah, S rank.
It's just you can't beat that cleanliness.
The most is kind of like 90s.
Yeah.
I feel almost like TLC.
And
like
their
very much ain't too
costumes,
proud to
too.
brag. Ain't too proud to beg.
They had a little
Living
whacking at
color.
the end.
Yeah.
I'm always a fan of like throwing in some other styles right in there.
Yes.
So in terms of scores, this really, I mean, you could really tell like where the judges were going with this, but 97, 92, 94 for S rank, 85, 85, 85. So, okay, so 94.3 was the average for S rank, 85. Of course, I can do the math on that one for the most. But S rank, keep your eyes on them outside of World of Dance.
They're very
it's
good.
a really, really big deal when it comes to them. Then we go back to the junior division, Josh and Taylor versus Second to None, and I was like, hey guys, did you know there was another tap group in here? Because this is where I wrote, and this was my note on Second to None. Why did we not see them in the qualifiers on this? I went back and I watched their YouTube digital exclusive, as I like to call it, but I thought that this was a great representation of tap and what the judges were looking for, because they've been begging all season going, we want more, I don't think tap's competitive, and I'm like, here's your trio giving you competitive tap.
Yes. Well, and that's what it gave us hope again for tap. We're like, what? There's another tap crew? Because we thought the last tap crew was gone.
Yeah, Jam Project and Evan, yes.
Yep, yeah, exactly. So it was really nice, and I was excited to see them, and I thought they were so cute. The
Not
story,
Evan, you guys, Lucas. Evan's on So You Think You Can Dance. Lucas.
there you go.
Lucas, sorry, I just want to
right.
correct myself
Oh, no, you're
before anyone
good.
says anything.
But yeah, so I thought the storyline was really cute. The boy was just the star, though. Like, I wish the girls kind of
I
brought
was
it
gonna
up to
say
his
he
level.
did very much hold the group together.
Yeah, and I also wasn't a fan of how they like set him up for his flip. It was very much like, okay, something's
Like
about to happen.
cheerleading.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So there were things I didn't like, but things I loved. Like they were so in sync. They were powerful, and it was very impactful. And I'm so sad J-Lo wasn't a fan because
She just doesn't like tap.
She doesn't like tap.
She doesn't like tap.
You know what? Tap is very hard to understand if that's not the world you come from. And J-Lo did not come from tap. She came from very much hip-hop, contemporary style dancing. So, and this is where I come from. I come from hip-hop.
Yeah.
So it's when I watch it, I'm like, that's very Junior talent show, Disney-esque, but it's amazing.
It's probably the hardest
It is.
style out there, and we need to find a way. This is what we need to find a way to appreciate it and find a way to
Yes.
showcase it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that we've seen plenty of tappers showcase it in a really intricate way, but that's not what the show's looking for. I think that they're looking for more what Second to None does.
Right. A more universal thing that people enjoy.
Yes.
So
It's just super, it's super. But I think like if they came back and like clean up their routine a little bit, worked it out, season 3 I think would be a great thing for them.
definitely.
See, and it's even hard for us to speak about it because it's so foreign to society in general, and it's not as
Well, we've had. I'm like,
We've
we
had a
haven't
lot
been
of-
here. We have beat tap to death on this topic. And we've had long debates.
Yeah.
This has been an ongoing theme all summer long. Just the show doesn't know what to do with tap, and
Yes.
we need to figure out a way because
Yeah.
tap is and I don't want to call it, but I think the tap community is feeling like we're not getting the representation on TV and film that we deserve, and it's completely true.
Yeah.
It is true. I feel like they almost need a different judging or different rank when their
Platform,
scores go
something.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because Savion Glover's coming in during the cut. All of the mentors are coming in, and I'm like, why not throw him as a guest judge for some of these
Right.
tap? This would be
That would
really
be very
helpful.
vital.
A guest judge.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Come on, J-Lo,
would
get
be
it
nice,
together.
yeah.
Do better. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just
Take
kidding.
it back. Take it back.
I love you, J-Lo.
Let's talk about Josh and Taylor. And again, this gives me Keone and Mari vibes. I really see Keone and Mari influencing an entire generation of dancers here. I did love the music choice too. Alicia Keys, to me, felt that her song Falling felt very unexpected.
They definitely achieved the rawness that they were trying to go for. When I loved how their emotions also matched their movement, because I feel like a lot of time the emotion can get the best of people and then their movement becomes sloppy, but it definitely like matched, and their isolations just made me feel all the feels. And so they were just so good. And it was also almost like they had these like hard-hitting craziness moments, and towards the end it was soft and slow and more steps, almost like a real relationship when you're fighting.
I was going to say, it's just like a real
when you're like
relationship.
fighting about something,
So
and you're
true.
like, okay, what do we do now?
Yes.
And
Like,
then
where
he
do we go from here?
bounced.
And then
And
they
then
built
he
back up.
bounced. Yep. So,
Yes.
Yep.
Their authenticity straight gave me chills. This
yes.
was one of
Yeah.
the performances for the night that gave me the absolute most chills. And I was definitely here for them because their facial expressions were on point, their body movements are on point, their chemistry was on point. There was a part where
Josh Taylor.
no. Sorry. There was a part where the judges were talking to the dancers about being close and being embodied with each other, and that's what you want to do because you want to represent that. No one ever, you don't even want to hug a person like this. You want to hug a person like this because they want
Right.
to feel you.
Yes.
That's about the connection, and that's what this performance gave me is connection.
It's authentic.
Yes.
That's a really important aspect. Carlo Atienza is their choreographer. I did look it up. So yeah,
okay.
they credited him in their Instagram post. And just a reminder, they're out of Canada. He's a Canadian choreographer. So always good things to learn and discover new choreographers. I love that.
Come on, neighbors.
So Josh and Taylor, their score was 90, 95, 92. So the average was 92.3. And then, of course, like this is where I look at like Second to None and I'm like, J-Lo just hates tap. 88 from Neo. I think that was totally appropriate. We dropped down to 83 with J-Lo and then 88 with Derek. And their average was an 86.3. I mean, 83 was really low.
Yeah, that was.
She was not
They deserve
feeling it.
higher.
You guys remember too, she's not just judging as a judge, she's judging as an executive producer, and what's probably running through her mind is, what am I going to do with them if they get, to a certain point in this competition? Because to her it feels repetitive as a producer and as a judge because, like I said,
But
coming
they
from
don't
background.
have any tap moving forward, and this is the thing we brought up last week. They're really pushing contemporary. They're really pushing hip hop. So you go, what about the other styles?
Right.
And yes, they are represented in smatterings, but I feel like we're going to get to the cut, and it's going to be 18,000 hip hop crews and 18,000 contemporary dancers.
Yeah.
So
That's exactly
no,
what
for sure.
yeah,
what
it
is in a
feels
lot of
like
cases.
you're like
Yeah.
All right. One thing just to remember for everyone who's listening to the podcast, please subscribe, rate us 5 stars, leave those comments. It really does help us here at AfterBuzz. Yes, this helps the show grow. And as we have said, season 3 is just around the corner. They start shooting in just a few months. It's we're almost in September.
wild.
They're starting to shoot in October. So there you
That's
go.
so
Isn't
nuts.
that crazy how TV works?
It's just boom, boom, boom.
Well, it is, and it's
Can't stop,
coming
won't stop.
in February.
And then you get us a year
okay.
later.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you get us in
kidding.
February.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We want to give correct timelines. The show for season 3 is coming in February, just so you guys know. So
Cool.
it's coming a lot earlier than next summer.
Yes.
For all you Valentine's babies.
All right. Then we move on to the upper division, L&J versus DNA. And I said the producers probably milk this one. Like, let's have all the initials battle each other.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start with L&J because I know that they were one of your favorites in this competition.
Yes, I loved their qualifying audition, and this dance, it seriously had every element that I could ask for in a dance. They had the intricate movement, they had the lifts, they had the emotion, they had the strength, they had the togetherness in sync quality, and it was just everything. And so when they, first of all, scored lower than I thought they would, and when they lost, I was just like, what? Did we see the same dance? That's just kind of how I felt. Because the judges didn't like their interpretation of the music. And so I'm like, music is always, everyone has a different interpretation of it, and that's what makes different choreography exciting, because everyone does it differently. So I don't know, I was kind of sad they knocked him for that when it's like, it's someone else's perspective. Like, that's just how they, I don't know.
I wrote on this one too, to me, because it's contemporary, I wrote, when tricks work. This is to me, because sometimes I feel contemporaries too, like, we're just going to do a 180 and we're going to do like a leap to the floor and then I'm going to do a flip or something like that. This to me was a great partnership with some tricks that felt that they had a purpose.
Yeah.
Because they were working off of each other
And
on
they
this
were
whole thing.
unique.
Hook swing with the foot at the heel of the foot. Let me tell you, that was
yeah.
amazing. This is, when I saw them, I thought this is what seamless is, and this is what you want at this point of the season.
Yes.
So I was very surprised to see their scores because their flawless flows going into one move to the next, from above the head to below the head to almost hitting the floor, and it's like, what?
Some beautiful
really
levels.
athletic. Yeah.
And you're right talking about the different interpretations of music, because there are different beats in music, and some people follow one set of beats and other people will follow others. So I'm curious to know how much of that they took into consideration when they did the scores.
Right.
Yeah, I think that they just got knocked big time for that. Like,
Very harshly.
Yeah.
very harshly on the music. And then DNA come on out doing their Proud Mary jive. I have seen this routine. They did it on the World of Dance tour from season 1. It was not a part of season 1, the TV show, but part of the tour after the show. It's a showstopper, honestly.
Yeah.
It's high energy. They added a little bit more intricacy to it, and I know these two pretty well, Dennis and Antonina, and I will tell you that they work really hard in the studio. So you could tell. You knew.
You can see it.
You know, I didn't like how right at the beginning the judges were like, this is where they messed, or this is what happened last year.
Right.
You know, this is a whole new season. This is a whole new competition. What you need to do is focus on the moment and the present being, and not judge these people for what happened last year, because this is why they're here this year, because they earned it again.
Redemption.
They
And
love the
they
TV
definitely
storyline,
killed it.
though. You know, they're like, how can we milk the drama of it all?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that if you go back and watch the routine where he fell out of a tour on Lair, it was such a freaky, weird mistake that like never ever happens. He was the winner of So You Think You Can Dance Canada one season.
Wow.
He's one of the most technically trained dancers I know. It was like such a weird.
Stuff just happens.
It does.
It does. It just happens.
Mercury in
And-
retrograde. It must have been
it's
happening
Mercury,
then.
Yep.
That's when you just roll on the floor and you just pose.
yeah. And just like, okay, I'm done.
And let the music keep playing.
But go back and watch it, because Antonina was traveling towards him, and that's how it was designed. She was going to travel towards him, catch him after the tour on Lair, and then they would move on. She literally like captured him after the fall, and they just kept moving. And I was like, well, if you're going to like seamlessly fall, that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
It was
it's
amazing to
true.
watch.
Yeah.
That's how you know they're total pros. And they're
Yeah.
still competing and everything too. They're out there like Blackpool with everyone
Heck
else. Yeah, they're
No,
good.
They're great. And I thought they performed the heck out of the song. And it was super fun.
Yeah.
Awesome dance. But to me, they didn't bring the innovation. They didn't bring the unique quality that I think this show kind of represents. And so that's why I'm really upset.
No, and
about-
I loved what L&J did too. I really thought that their tricks were integrated well without me going, here's another trick. We got to do a trick over here. That just felt like they worked off of each other. Scores 84, 87, 87 for L&J in the upper division for an average of 86. 88, 89, 88 for an average of 88.5 for DNA. And they move on, of course, to the cut.
Yes.
And then this is where that huge montage went in, and we were like, blah, la, 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 la. But I'll just let you guys know, Quad Squad's going through Madison Brown, who's that great little contemporary dancer. She's only
Amazing.
12, but she looks like she's 15.
Yeah.
The Rock Company, as well as The Pulse. So you're going to get to see The Pulse
The
again.
pulse. I'm here for the pulse.
Yes, I think they made it by the skin of their teeth. I think it was like 0.3 of a point or something crazy.
shoot.
I know.
I'm here for anything cha-cha.
You love it. And then we get to the next duel that we actually saw everything. Ashley and Zach versus Morning of Owl, which was a really weird duel in the upper division, but they were the leftovers.
Yeah.
And they're both great acts. It wound up being a cool duel after all that.
They were both amazing, and they just made me feel completely different emotions. And so that's why it's so hard, because I love them both. I wish they both could have gone through. But Ashley and Zach, they just had this sex appeal and this tension that was just, it was so good. And they have so much trust in each other, so much athleticism. She would just leap across the stage, and he just catches her, and just, And Ashley got credit from Derek, but I'm like, Zach deserves some credit too, because he's sick. He's so good.
Where'd he get all those muscles? I remember
Right?
him from like season 11, and I was like, well, that was pretty good. He's
I
been
wonder
lifting.
how many supporters they have there when they're doing their routines. Like, okay, don't drop her. Okay, don't drop her. Or like there for the spot. If there's a
Spotting.
mattress or an air mattress or something.
They just go
can you
for it.
imagine?
But their routine, they left it all on the stage. I will say that. They really
100%.
did with their emotions and their choreography. It was all left on the stage. They came to dominate.
Yes.
Yeah, it was intense. It was powerful. And then you get the complete opposite with Morning of Owl. You know, they are Korean. They are street dancers. But the level of humor that they brought to this
I love
piece.
them.
And didn't you feel like it was a puzzle piece? Like you're all tangled together.
It was.
And then
Yes.
you unscramble and then you get scrambled again. That's what I kept thinking.
Yeah, I said layers. I said, but that's like the same
Same
thing.
thing.
And I was like, they should be in a circus. That's kind of how I felt watching it. I was like, they're like a circus act, but so,
without being corny, though.
Right, exactly. Like, so freaking talented and strong and unique, and that's what I love. That's what I want to see, is something fresh that we haven't seen before.
I feel like this dance could have been done on the twister board.
Yeah.
Like, and they would have hit every color. They would have hit every single color.
That's cool. Yeah.
But they were so fun, and this was kind of a throwback to me for the 90s because their b-boy style was just, it was amazing. And like, you're right. I didn't want either one of them to go home, but I knew Zach and Ashley left it all on the floor. But Morning of Owl, man, they're going to come back to nominate for sure.
I'm hoping that
You gotta
they're
watch them.
there are a couple groups that we've seen or other acts that you're like, I do want to see them back for season 3. And this is, some people go, it's not fair. They played, they danced in the first season and they came back for season 2. But I'm like, you do want to see the growth and you want to see the competition. And I'm like, Olympics, you can't sit there and go, Simone Biles, you can't come back for another Olympics. You're too good.
Very true.
It's true.
You don't do that. You don't tell any, Michael Phelps, sorry, you have 18,000 medals, you can't come back. We do want to see this. And these are the people that I'm like, I want to see the growth on some of these people.
Well, and what else can they create? Because they just did things that the judges, we were like, what the heck was that?
It was so fun.
Yes.
The head twist and the breaking of the neck and just the death and the slide. It was good.
I liked their facials. Sometimes
was.
I'm like, I find facials too campy, but I thought that for this particular piece, it really works.
So playful. It was so great.
It made me happy.
And I love how they spoke in their language and then their translator had to translate for them. Like, that's authentic to the fullest.
Well,
and that was a b-boy style.
Authentic to world of dance.
Yes.
It's an international, competition.
Yes.
All right, look at these scores because this was crazy. So Ashley and Zach, 91, 92, 93 for an average of 92. And then Morning of Owl, 94. Look at Neo. Neo was feeling that. 90 from J-Lo, 91 from Derek. So it was 91.7. 0.3 of a point they lost.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine going home and
I bet you
knowing,
Neil was heartbroken for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was he gave the Ashley and Zach a 91, and then he gave Morning of Owl 94. Gosh, man, that one's tough.
Yeah.
But the Morning of Owl, they're very unique.
Yes.
Which is why I think Neo vibes with them so well, because he's very unique as an artist and as a dancer.
Yeah, but he also vibes a lot with the story. So he's like, if you got a story, you got the points from me. Like, I think he said that this episode. So that's why.
He did.
Yeah,
You're right.
so it's very.
He did say that.
See, and that makes
Never
me
can
think,
tell.
like, Morning of Owl brings such a unique perspective. I'm like, see, that's when I'm like, throw them to the cut a little. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm like, we have so many duos that are, like, angsty contemporary duets.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, this is something fresh.
Changes the game a little.
Yeah, and remember, the cut, it's not going to be easy to make it through the cut anyway. Only 3 acts per division make it through to divisional finals.
I don't know how they're gonna decide.
It's gonna it's gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
The cut.
Oh.
That's really what it is. Let's just admit.
Yeah.
It's going to be the purge. It's not going to be the cut.
Yes, it's bad. And then, of course, we get into Embodiment versus Brotherhood. Another one. 2 leftovers. Both great acts. Contemporary versus hip hop. There we go. Let's start with Embodiment. Of course, Ruby Abreu, season 11. So You Think You Can Dance. Also a J-Lo dancer. Oh, by the way, also did Derek's Move tour. So he's very familiar to the judges as well.
Yeah. I think Derek said it right. He said archangels. You guys are like archangels. And that's what came to my head, too, that they were like angels and their technique was just on point. Oh, and their strength is just crazy. But also, there is that stigma, that when male dancers do contemporary, there's that feminine quality. And so I love that they're breaking that stigma, that you don't have to do that. And I feel like this season, people are breaking stigmas all over the place. And so
It's been
that's
a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, and I just love it. And so I just absolutely was obsessed with that dance.
This routine was really good.
Yeah.
The end is where it really came together for me.
Okay.
Because their synchronization, I did not see one foot out of line at all. And I pay attention to all of that stuff. There was not one beat, one step, there was nothing missed. And when they hit that floor, they all hit it at the same time.
And that's a big deal because that group is big. It's not like, it's 5 dancers. It's a big group. There's probably at least 10 of them, I'm going to say. There's probably 10. Yeah. And it's one of those things, like you say, one toe out of line, one finger out of line, your eye goes there or there or there. And it's a big deal on something like that. That's why things like S rank, I'm always impressed because, they're a crew over 10. When you have embodiment, you're like, you have to be rehearsing every single count over and over and over. It's no joke.
Yeah,
the real challenge in any dance competition when it comes to groups is synchronization. A duo one person can mess up and it's not a big deal.
Right.
A trio, one person can mess up, and it almost looks like the other two are supposed to be doing that, and they were supposed to do this. Any major group has to have their synchronization on point, because without that, their choreography doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
And they really hit this one.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And then we go into Brotherhood, of course, Canadian crew.
They're so fun.
Legends.
They're so fun.
I know.
So good.
I know. Well, how did you feel about their routine overall, their choreography, and...
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And I especially loved their contemporary burn part. Like that was just
I couldn't with
fire.
that.
And they did
I
it
couldn't.
well.
They did it
didn't
great.
do contemporary and like half do it. They freaking crushed it.
They really did.
And there were a lot of wow moments in there. And they're just a true powerhouse team. But it didn't have the same impact on me as Embodiment's piece.
Was it just the emotion of it, Embodiment?
I don't know. I think it was just the lack of something I've never seen before. You know? Like, it was a really great piece, and they had cool formation changes and everything, but it was just, like, another cool hip-hop dance
And
to
we
me.
have so many crews competing this
Yeah.
year in both junior team, because now they've added the junior team division, that you sit there and you really have to stand out.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it fell flat for me. But
The beginning of this was really slow for me. It was, I was waiting like, okay, when is this going to hit? When is this going to hit? Because Embodiment started from beginning to end, and they hit from the beginning to the end. Brotherhood, they are a very good team. They are. And for the time that they've been together, and their journey is amazing.
Yes.
But they were just not hitting it from out of the park from the beginning with me. It really came together for me for the end, but this wasn't difficult choreography. It really wasn't.
Right.
You know,
She's like,
You know.
I know.
he's like, I'll show
it
you
wasn't. I
difficult
give them props
choreography.
because they were good, but it wasn't difficult.
And that
you know.
makes sense, you know.
And that's what Embodiment brought.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, as a crew, especially as an experienced crew, you should know, especially when you get to duels. If you're listening to what those judges are telling you, they're not looking for what you showed up with in qualifiers.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why the Jabwalkies are in Vegas, and why you have big acts all over the country, because they bring the next level.
Yeah.
But
And
Jabbas were on the
unfortunately,
first season.
Brotherhood.
And they did not.
Yeah.
That was a
Jabbas
big
were on the first
controversy
season
last
last
year.
year, and
That was the fans were mad.
Yeah.
Oh, that was, I mean, the comments that went on and on, like on Facebook. And I understand too, because I'm like, they are the legacies.
sick.
They're amazing, but they felt like they were mistreated on World of Dance.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know the
In terms of,
backstory.
I mean, I think that the fans felt like they didn't get the respect. I think that's probably from the judges, and you know, this is television.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Gotta love them.
That's the one thing. But I mean, that's why they are who they are. That's why they can do a Vegas show and
Yes.
you know, draw those crowds.
Heck yeah.
Right. Embodiment 94, 93, 93, and Brotherhood 94, 91, 93. It was J-Lo who was the deciding factor on this, because if you take a look, Derek and Neo gave exactly the same scores to both groups. Obviously, different there's 5 categories, but that's the way it added up.
Yeah.
And then J-Lo is like, 2 more points for Embodiment.
Yeah. But they earned it.
They earned
deserve
it.
it. They did.
So
Yeah,
average
They did.
of 93.3 for Embodiment, 92.7 for Brotherhood, and of course Embodiment goes on into the cut. And I gotta say to Rudy, who cried his way through So You Think You Can Dance season 11, has not disappointed by crying on World of Dance. I love that he's a very emotional person, but I love he's so honest and genuine with it, because sometimes men feel like they can't cry in public, and I was like, do it, show it, because I think it's
Yes.
important.
Oh,
As women, we're allowed to do it all we want, and then men sometimes feel like, I have to be strong.
Right.
No, you don't.
let it out. And it reflects
it.
in his choreography. His vulnerability is just, I
That
love
just
it.
says slip into my DMs. That's what that says.
Throwing that up.
No, but that's good.
Subtle.
I like that he's showing that side of them, and I like that
Yeah.
Embodiment is, because this is underappreciated, male dancers in contemporary.
Mm-hmm.
It is sought out, seen that they're very much weaker or not as strong and as powerful as hip hop dancers, but they very much are, because their bodies are probably in better shape than any hip hop dancer that I've seen,
yeah.
because they know each one of their muscles. I don't know all my muscles. I just know my legs and
I know
my
they're
shoulders,
like
you know.
cut.
Your tricep. Huh?
And my triceps.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
You're like-
but they know their abs and their triceps and their
deltoids.
hamstrings and
Yeah.
deltoids.
You need your core for everything.
yes.
Absolutely
They know how to use
everything.
their whole body.
Heck yeah,
Their
they do.
whole
Very
body.
much.
Yes, because I mean, especially as a dancer, you have to be in tune with kind of like all aspects of that, and which is kind of interesting because yesterday on To The Point we had this amazing. I met Maggie Kudirka. She's known as the bald ballerina. Now I met her a year ago at an event through Doriana Sanchez. If you're watching So You Think You Dance, you know her as the disco choreographer. We met her at an event. She has breast cancer. It is stage 4. It is terminal. So she has treatments every month that keep her stable. She's healthy. She has no active disease in her body.
Okay.
But every month or every time she gets her scans done, she has to know like, has it returned? Like, has it spread or anything else like that? It's tough. She's only 26, by the way, too.
gosh.
Incredible. So we just wanted to show you guys a clip. If you haven't seen this episode, it is really good. And this is how she made it through as a dancer emotionally and physically. How has dance kind of helped you through all of this process?
It's been my escape. Like when I was first diagnosed, the next day I was in the studio taking class and it just felt normal. It's my normal, my old life basically. Whenever I get a chance to rehearse or get into a studio is always a pleasure, and I try to hang on to it as long as possible before I have to go back into the real world. So I always look forward to rehearsal times and going back in the studio.
And you're out there. I mean, you're performing. I've seen you perform out here in LA. You're out there judging. You're out there creating solos and all these kids.
Yeah, I do a lot. I'm getting ready. My friend Adrian's putting on a show in September, and when I get back there in like 2 weeks back to Maryland, we start rehearsals for that.
So you guys can really
But
see, like, she's
I
out
try
there,
to
she's
start
performing
out.
everything else. When she discovered the lump, she was 23. She was dancing with the Joffrey Ballet concert group, and then let the lump kind of hang out for a while because she was like, I'm dancing, I'm performing, I'm busy, blah, 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 blah. And then it started to grow. And so had she caught it earlier, it might be a different situation. But by the time they caught it, it was, I was asking her, I was like, what size was it? She was like, it was bigger than a tennis ball.
Oh,
I know. So just a reminder that health and body, especially as dancers, you have an injury, you're like, I'll dance through it.
Yeah.
But listen
much.
to your body. Listen to your body. Go to your doctor.
You know what? I like her attitude on this though, because what defeats people with any kind of disease is focusing on the dis-ease in your body, and she wasn't gonna let that happen to her. She
Right.
went on and progressed her life as if nothing happened, which she should have.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
she's easing her body,
Yeah.
and this is when miracles happen, when people continue to live their lives as they're completely 100% healthy.
Yes.
So I love her take on this.
I love
Yes.
her. And we also got in a little bit of discussion too, just on health insurance and to give people perspective of like what a pre-existing condition means, especially if these federal laws go away where pre-existing condition, like what if that goes away and health insurance companies can reject you? She's already spent $500,000 on her treatment has cost so far. If she has no health insurance, because she is self-insured, by the way, it costs $12,000 a month for her treatments to keep her stable and alive and healthy, and her pills cost $10,000. So, I mean, of course, health insurance right now is subsidizing all of that, but also formerly there used to be caps, like $1 million was the cap for your lifetime for health insurance, and she went through $500,000 in 4 years. So just these things, like putting a face to it, it has nothing to do with Democrat, Republican, it has to do with human. And that was
Yes.
one of the really interesting things that came out of that.
And what an
So,
amazing example, just a person to represent women.
spirit.
for
And we're right
sure.
on the cusp of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're just
October coming
a
on
few
up.
months away.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it is important that everybody get checked out.
Yeah.
And should we drop a
definitely.
little bit of news about Rudy?
Sure. Let's do it.
TV News.
All right, here's a little bit of scoop of Ruby Abreu. I will not be here next week for the first week of Cuts, but for the second week of Cuts, Ruby Abreu is going to come in studio with us.
Yes.
Nice.
So excited.
Super excited.
Yeah.
He'll be talking about Embodiment. Hopefully, we'll get a little scoop about working as J-Lo's backup dancer in her Vegas show. You don't know. We can throw out a little So You Think. Maybe he'll give us his ideas on this season's crop of talent and everything else like that. So he will be here August 29th. He did confirm today. Now, there's always the caveat, like sometimes they book a job and that, they cancel. But as long as he is in LA, he will be here in studio with us. So join us in
Don't
2
want to
weeks.
miss
for that.
it.
I know.
I'm so pumped. I'm so excited.
You're gonna love him. The two of you are gonna vibe really
Yeah,
well. Like
good.
he's got a lot of energy. So
Heck yeah.
he's kind of awesome with all of that. And last thoughts on this particular episode since we've officially wrapped up the duels and we're moving on into the cut.
Oh my gosh. I just not really about like specific couples. I think it's just so important that we just like feel and move. If we want to move, do it, and don't worry about like what other people are thinking or saying. Because I feel like that's what people are showing, and it's so beautiful. And it's just this show is just like inspiring me so much, and I hope it's doing that for everybody else as well. It's so great.
I'm rooting for Embodiment.
Yeah.
You
I
can
really
do
want them
it.
to just
Yeah.
Take the million.
pedal to the metal all the way, all the way.
That's a good one. That's kind of fun. It is. We're kind of like when we get to the divisional finals, and when you guys figure out, because I know the winner and everything, just so you know. But I know I'm not going to tell you. No, but this is what I want to do. When we get to the divisional finals, I want everyone to, other than me, sort of make your predictions of who you think's going to win and who you think will come in second, third, and fourth. Because I think that'll be really fun and interesting, and then we'll come back
For sure.
for the finals and see how well we did.
Yeah, because it's too hard for me to say right now who it's going to be.
And it's
there's
hard
too
because
many.
they divided up. The cut's going to be a couple weeks. It's going to take, I think, over 2 weeks, and then we'll move into divisional finals.
Yeah,
So
that'll
it's not
be
like we
fun.
can go, oh, it's in one episode and we can make predictions. It's hard to do.
Yeah,
So.
no, for sure. I'm pumped.
Yes, for sure. Well, you guys, we are so glad you joined us here for this hour. This was amazing. As I mentioned, Teague will be back, and she'll be sitting in my seat next week because I'll be out for 1 week only. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Seriously.
Excited
Of
to be
course.
here.
We
Awesome.
appreciate your insight.
Yeah.
Tell everyone where they can follow you.
You can follow me all across the internet at Russell Ray Silva. That's Russell Ray, S to the I to the LVA.
Hey, I love that. Okay, I need a little jingle like that. But I'm Shannon O'Connor, and you can find me on Instagram at Shannikin_Skywalker.
We love that. You're on Twitter now, too.
Oh, I am.
Hey.
I am. I
Finally.
just got a Twitter. I'm a newbie. but-
Welcome to 2007.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm a little late to the game.
It's okay. It's okay. We got you going. We got you going.
Yes.
All right. Now I'm at Kristyn Burtt on Twitter, the Kristyn Burtt on Facebook and Instagram. We will see you next week. Them, not me. Teague will be here. Have a great week here. Enjoy.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.